These two trucks do the same job. Same cargo, same 18 wheels. But they disagree on absolutely everything else. The reason? It comes down to a forgotten legislative battle passed in 1982, and the fact that large parts of Europe's road network are built on top of routes the Romans laid down 2,000 years ago. See, back in the day, American trucks, these massive, long-hooded, chrome-stacked rigs, used to look exactly like European trucks. If you've seen photos of American highways from the 1960s and 70s, that's what you're seeing. So, what changed? Back then, U.S. states regulated the total length of the truck, cab and trailer combined. Because every inch of hood was an inch of lost cargo space, manufacturers were forced to completely delete the nose. To make it worse, every state had different limits. A trucking company running coast to coast had to navigate 50 different sets of rules and, sometimes, delightfully, had to swap trailers at state lines just to keep it legal. So, in 1982, Congress passed the Surface Transportation Assistance Act. The law did something brilliant. It banned states from restricting trailer sizes below 48 feet and, critically, removed all restrictions on the length of the tractor itself. Overnight, the cab stopped competing with the trailer for space. Manufacturers immediately went wild with long hood conventional designs. By the end of the decade, the American cabover was practically extinct. Europe never changed that original rule. Their total length is still strictly capped at 16.5 meters. Every inch of cab is still an inch of lost profit. So, the cab stays flat. But here's where the design split gets interesting. In a flat-nosed cab, you sit directly on top of the front axle, with a roaring engine vibrating straight through your seat. American drivers used to call them kidney busters. Moving the engine out front shifts that entire chaotic, mechanical load away from the driver. Quieter, cooler, smoother. And that matters when you consider the sheer scale of the job. American long haulers routinely log 600 miles a day and stay out for weeks. So when the law allowed it, American manufacturers turned the cab into a rolling studio apartment. Full-size beds, refrigerators, microwaves, and flat screens. Europe's logistics market works on a completely different clock. The routes are shorter. A European driver is often home every night or two. To a European fleet operator, a walk-in closet is just dead weight on a balance sheet. But this ergonomic split created a brutal reality for safety. An American long hood is a 6-foot steel shield. If you hit something at highway speed, the engine block dies so you don't have to. In a European flat face, you have no such buffer. In a frontal collision, the driver is the literal front of the vehicle. Cabs have to be engineered like Swedish vaults because the driver's knees are inches from the bumper. Now, the comfort and regulation story explains the hood. But there's a second reason European trucks stay flat, and it has nothing to do with rules. It has to do with roads that were never designed for anything this large. The U.S. interstate system was designed in the 1950s, specifically for massive commercial vehicles. Wide lanes, long sweeping curves, endless horizons. In America, the infrastructure was built around the truck. In Europe, the truck has to navigate what already exists. And what already exists are road networks that trace routes laid down by the Romans 2,000 years ago. Because a flat-nosed cabover has a fundamentally shorter wheelbase, it turns on a dime. And that is a non-negotiable survival trait when you're delivering goods through a city center in the Netherlands that genuinely hasn't widened its streets since the 1600s. Try pulling a 53-foot long-hood American trailer through a medieval roundabout in Yorkshire, and you will instantly dismantle a piece of protected global heritage. Beautiful as those American rigs are, their turning radius belongs on an open plain, not a 17th century canal street. So, regulations, infrastructure, driver comfort, all of that explains the shape. But there's one more number in the story, and it's the one that surprises people the most. The U.S. federal gross weight limit on interstates is 80,000 pounds. The EU standard is 40 metric tons, and on certain routes in Scandinavia, they allow up to 76, meaning those compact, sensible European trucks navigating tiny streets are legally permitted to be significantly heavier than American ones. The entire reason comes down to physics and aging infrastructure. The U.S. uses the Federal Bridge Formula, a strict calculation that forces trucks to spread their axles out across a longer distance to protect bridge beams from snapping under concentrated loads. And for good reason. According to the Department of Transportation, a single 5-axle truck loaded to the maximum limit does the exact same pavement damage as 9,600 cars, which usually causes a massive debate in the infrastructure community, but that's a topic for another day. And then, underneath all of this, there's a layer that isn't about regulations or roads or weight limits at all. In America, a truck isn't just equipment. It's an extension of the driver. Owners name them, live in them, and spend fortunes customizing them. The towering chrome exhaust stacks, the aggressive grills, the custom paint, none of that is engineering, it's identity. It's the spirit of the cowboy transition to 18 wheels. European trucks belong to the corporation. Brands like Volvo, Scania, and DIF don't compete on style. They compete on aerodynamics, fuel economy, and operating cost per kilometer. Their marketing isn't about freedom. It's about logistics efficiency and corporate compliance. One machine is built to project massive presence on an endless horizon. The other is engineered to disappear perfectly into a corporate spreadsheet, and both are completely rational responses to their environments. Japanese trucks, by the way, are a third category entirely, and the constraints that produce them are even more extreme. We'll cover that soon.